Good morning, everyone, or afternoon, depending on when you are watching this. This is Julie coming to you from my home quarantining here. Uh, so I will just say this. I have avoided getting COVID for this whole time, and I've been working from home for 2 years. And when I decided to go back to teaching face to face, I knew that I was taking a pretty big risk because of my lack of immune system, but of getting COVID. But I decided that it was more important to me to take that risk in order to do what I love, which is, of course, teaching all of you. So, even though I don't recommend getting it, it's not fun at all. I'm it was worth the risk for me. So unfortunately, because I did test positive over the weekend, we have to do class this way this week. I am, you know, doing things according to the CDC guidelines, and so I will be home isolating for 5 days at least, and then masking for another 5 days, and then I, as of right now, I, as long as I am testing a negative at that point, I do plan on being back in the classroom next week. If for whatever reason, if I'm testing positive still at that point, or if I just can't, I'll just tell you this. My sickness is the way it's manifesting. As the day goes on, I get weaker and weaker, and sometimes have trouble walking right now. So if if something happens where I'm testing positive or I cannot come in, I will certainly make you aware of that, and we will continue to move on in this way. Um, when I did test positive, the very first thing that I did was email you all because, you know, like I said, if I can tell you as much in advance as possible, that kind of thing, I want to be able to do that. Um, so I'll insert again. I know I'm a broken record with the importance of Canvas, but this is exactly why it's so important. I mean, in addition to the fact that everything that we do on there is on there in class, all of our materials, everything is there. But in addition to that, in this world that we live in, it's just our go-to. If I can't be at class, it's your go-to if you can't be at class. And I understand also that not everyone is as tech savvy as everyone else. The only thing I can say about that is I have pinned the link to LMC's IT department to the top of our Canvas page. They are awesome at helping with any issues you may be having, whether it be viewing things or submitting things, um, or accessing things that you should have access to, like Microsoft Word. They can help you with those things. Unfortunately, I'm happy to answer questions if I can, but I can't sort of learn everyone's individual computer. So that said, just lean on IT. That's exactly what they're there for. They're very quick at getting back to you. If you're on the Benton Harbor campus, they're right there in the main building, on the bottom floor, I believe. So they're very, very helpful if anyone is having any trouble. So I sent an email, like I said, as soon as I tested positive, and I asked for a response, a reply, just simply telling me that you received that email. That reply is what I'm going to plug in for your attendance points for the week. So if you've already replied to that and just said got it or received or thank you, those of you who sent me well wishes, I really appreciate it, and I will take it. But if you have not replied to that yet, please make sure that you do that so I can give you attendance participation points for the week. And of course, Canvas is, as always, where our daily agenda will be, where our notes will be, where the class materials will be. All of it is pretty self-explanatory, but I did want to just record this video to take you through some of it because I know that it's sometimes more helpful not just to view things, but to also see them. So, I'm sorry, hear them. So I will probably post another short video before our next class as well, just to sort of go over a couple of more things and what you should have ready and all those things. So I am going to share my screen here, and we will go through everything that we're going to go through. And so, just reiterating, the semester is only so long. So again, in this day and age, we have to continue on. There's no like taking a week off here just because we're not meeting in person. So I have our Canvas page pulled up. Um, And I'm just doing one video. This is why I'm not doing a live Zoom. It's much easier for me to post one video for all of my English 101 sections than to do them all individually. So we'll just take a look at what we were going to do here. So topic proposals for this, I believe, were assigned. The assignment itself was assigned, and we went over it at our last class, and then the topic proposal was due by or before the start of class today. Most of you have gotten those in. If you have not gotten it in by the start of today's class, then at this point we're in our third week here. Technology glitches, things like that, are going to start sort of fading into the background, and points are going to start being deleted for late work or incomplete work. So that assignment has been posted since our last class and is due by the start of today's class. If you haven't gotten that in, please get that in, because I need to okay your topic. And this is why I assigned that before moving on and posting the outline assignment, which I'm assigning today. Because I want to do things sequentially and not sort of bombard you with materials. So it was important for me to approve your topic choice first. And that said, let me insert this here also. They're great so far. The topics look awesome, but keep in mind, take a look at that assignment sheet. I had also assigned for you to read the 2 example essays that I posted over in modules. Because they're really great examples of what I'm looking for this, I believe. So keep in mind that your topic choice, whatever it is, needs to the goal is to use personal specific examples. So some of them were teetering on being a little bit too broad. So this isn't about, I believe, the world should or society should or whatever. This isn't applying to the broad spectrum of people. This is something that you're going to then use very specific personal life examples to support. So, just kind of keep that in mind. Please be looking at the feedback comments that I give you, because I think I've approved all of the topics so far, but I might have made a comment that said something like, be sure to keep it to specific life examples, because like I said, some of them appear a little bit broad. And please just make sure also that for all of the assignments that you are, abiding by the assignment guidelines. So if I ask for a paragraph, some people are giving me like a sentence or two. Just, write a little, I'm asking for enough detail for me to be able to tell that you're going to be able to use specific examples from your life. So just be sure to, read all assignment guidelines in detail. So, all right, let's look at today's agenda. Here's the reminder that classes will be online this week. Any updates I have a lot of brain fog going on here with this sickness. So I might be sporadically sending messages out. If I want you to reply to the message for participation points, I will ask you, I'll state that, just like I did in the last message. Or the original message I sent, I asked for you to just send a quick reply that you got it. So if I don't ask for that, you don't have to, but Canvas messaging, which is also the same as LMC email, is how we should be communicating this week. And any questions that you have about anything, message me. I have a little note here to please message or email if you would like to request a one-on-one Zoom meeting with me this week. I'm gonna try so hard to respond to your messages as quickly as I can and to set up Zoom meetings with anyone who wants to go over anything 101 using video or, sharing screens. That said, I am sick, so in the meantime of replying as quickly as I can to a lot of messages, I am having to rest. So if I don't get back to you like right away, just please, be understanding of that. But but other than having a lie down here and there, I am gonna get back to you as soon as I possibly can and send those questions if you have them, request a Zoom meeting if you would like one on all of that. Another quick reminder that I wanted to point out. So I have the writing lab up here linked. If you would like to make an appointment for your This I Believe essay, I suggest that you do that, click this link and do that like immediately. Schedule it out if you need to, because they have limited sort of appointment slots, and you have to create an account just when you log in there for the first time. But I noticed that they're pretty limited, and I am offering extra credit for each of the 3 main essays that you go for. So if you're going to try to get in there at any point, I would go ahead and get that scheduled, whether it be an online appointment or an in-person appointment. They have both. And I also want to point out that you can attend a writing lab appointment at any point in the writing process. It could be while you're still brainstorming, if you're having trouble getting started, which some people do. It can be during the outline, which I'm assigning today, or it can be after you have a rough draft, which will be due a week from today's class, a complete rough draft for peer review, or it can be, just before the final essay is due. But I just want to encourage you, if you would like to get into the Writing Center or Writing Lab, to go ahead and make that appointment as soon as possible. So if you take a look at, the assignment for this, I believe that I assigned last week and is posted over in modules. The dates are going to stay the same. Topic proposal was due today. The outline will be due by the start of our next class, and a complete rough draft for peer review will be due a week from today. So just, we're continuing on with that. So today, topic proposals still due. Notes, I had assigned 2 reading assignments from our textbook. And today we're going to take a look at thesis and essay structure, which are posted over in modules. I will be posting this video as soon as I'm done recording it over there as well. The notes will be on quiz number 1. So the set of notes that we took at our last class, which were on APA format and brainstorming, anything in bold on those notes will be on quiz number 1, and then anything in bold on these notes, this set of notes, will be on quiz number 1. I've had a couple people ask me, it's stated pretty clearly on the syllabus, and we've talked about it, but I'll just say again, the quizzes are on the final day of the unit. So the day that your This I Believe final essay is due. For Monday, Wednesday class, that is the 28th. For Tuesday, Thursday classes, it is the 29th. So the final essays come in on that day, and quiz number 1 will be on that day. I will be posting before our next class a review for the quiz. It's word for word from the notes, anything that's in bold, and it's multiple choice. And but quizzes cannot be made up, so it's important to be in class on that day of the final unit, the 28th or the 29th. So just a reminder about that, and I'll have a review up for you, and I'll throw up another video before our either Wednesday or Thursday this week, depending on the class you're in, for you to take a look at, and we'll look at the quiz review and what else is due. So we're going to go over these thesis and essay structure notes in a moment, and then take a look at what I would like you to do for the outline. So again, all of the materials, if you go over to modules here, all of the materials for Unit 1 for this, I believe, are posted here in the unit. So here's the instructions. I asked you to take a look at both example essays, the first and the second. They are great examples of students who have received an A on this essay in the past, and if you haven't read them yet, please do. We'll take a look briefly at part of one of them today, but those I wanted you to read, and they kind of give you a good idea for what an A essay looks like for this. And then the topic proposal is posted here. That was due today. The notes we took on APA setup and brainstorming from last time are there. And we also took those notes on the 11 types of arguments. Those 11 types will be on the quiz. I believe they are matching on the quiz. So those are there for you. Here's today's notes, which are on thesis and essay structure. And I posted the outline that I want you to fill out, which is also in assignments. And I also posted a sample essay that or outline that I created just to take a look at that might help you get started on yours. So let's go ahead and pull up the notes for today. So the notes on thesis and essay structure. Again, anything bolded in my PowerPoints are word for word on the quiz. And I asked you to take a look in the textbook about thesis and then about body paragraphs. And let me just throw this out here too. Our textbook is used, I'm not assigning a textbook for the sake of assigning a textbook, if that makes sense. And that's why I didn't choose to have you purchase a textbook. Our textbook is mostly to be used as a tool to assist you in the types of writing that we're doing. And I'll always post the direct link to what I want you to read from it, as I have done so far. So you'll know exactly what I want you to read. So I had asked you to read about thesis. So let's take a look at thesis. So a thesis statement, it tells the reader how you will interpret the significance of the subject matter under discussion. It is considered a roadmap for the paper. In other words, it tells the reader what to expect from the rest of the paper. I know for a fact that that is a quiz question. So what does a thesis statement do? And then this is also on the quiz, it directly answers the question asked of you. A thesis statement is an interpretation of a question or a subject, not the subject itself. So my question to you for this essay is, what is something that you strongly believe? And your answer is, you're this, I believe. So your thesis statement is going to answer that question. It is usually almost always some kind of claim that others might dispute. So for this, I believe, your belief is not going to apply to everyone, right? What you're going to then do is show me why that belief is important to you. So technically, in all cases of writing that we're going to be doing, it is a claim that others might dispute. So for the purposes of this class, and this is incredibly important, the thesis should always be the final sentence of your introduction paragraph. So this is the last sentence of your intro, of your first paragraph. Always. If you take a look at those two example essays, you'll see that that's where they are, and they're very clear. So avoid saying in your thesis statement, avoid saying, in this essay, I will tell you about my belief, or this paper will. You want to avoid those types of things and just simply make this statement instead of saying, in this essay, I will, just make the statement without sort of using those fillers. So, but yeah, very important that the thesis should also always be the final sentence of your intro paragraph. Is my thesis strong? So this is not in bold, not on the quiz. Run it by your instructor if you're wondering, or make an appointment at the writing lab to get some feedback. And then when reviewing your thesis statement, ask yourself the following. Do I answer the question? Reread the question prompt, write the assignment sheet. After constructing a thesis, and it can, rereading it can just help you fix an argument that misses the focus on the question. So do you answer the question, what do you believe, in your thesis statement? Have I taken a position that others might challenge or oppose? If your thesis is simply, it just states facts and no one, or, if your thesis statement is something like 2 + 2 = 4, or whatever example you want to use of something that nobody is going to dispute, then it's probably not a great thesis statement. So ask yourself, is this something that somebody could dispute? And then, is it specific enough? So we'll just use the example of this, I believe. Instead of just stating the belief and just saying, I believe whatever it is, try to make it as specific as you can for one sentence. And by the way, it should just be one sentence for the purposes of our class. I know that the textbook talks about that it sometimes can be more than one sentence, but for an introduction to writing class, it should just be one. But it should be a bit specific. So for this, I believe, instead of just stating the belief as a sentence, you want to say something that's going to tell me a little bit more detail about why. So due to blank, blank, and blank reasons, I believe, would be the easiest way to go, or in the opposite direction, I believe that, and then state the belief because of my experiences with. That's going to add a little bit more detail, and then it's the roadmap for the paper. The first example essay does an awesome job of this, so take a look at that. So that is thesis statement, and these again are posted in module number 1. So structuring an essay. Paragraph number 1, the introduction. Some people have trouble writing introductions. Again, the first or both example essays give really great examples of introductions and body paragraphs and conclusions. And you read a little bit about this in the textbook for today. So let me make myself a little bit smaller here. So the introduction paragraph, and this is in bold, right? So the quiz, is the broad beginning of the paper that answers 3 important questions. What is this, right? Like, kind of sets up what it is that I'm reading here. Why am I reading it? Why is the belief important to you? What do you want me to do for the purposes of this essay? You want me to just simply understand why you believe in this belief. And then you should answer these questions by doing the following. Set the context. Provide general information about the main idea, explaining the situation so that the reader can make sense of the topic and the claims you make in support. So give me a little bit, in the intro, we're still a little bit general here, but set it up so that you're setting up the context of the belief, if that makes sense. And then state why the main idea is important. Tell the reader why he or she should care and keep reading. Your goal is to create a compelling, clear, and convincing essay people will want to read and act upon. And then, and most importantly, and lastly, right, last sentence, state your thesis or claim, same thing. Compose one sentence stating the position you will support / the point you will make in the essay. Again, the thesis is the last sentence of the introduction. Body paragraphs then. So we use this acronym that's really good to get into your head when you're talking about body paragraphs. I know that there is a question on the quiz about the body paragraph, so knowing this acronym and what it stands for is important. So once you get into the body paragraphs, a good paragraph should contain at least the following 4 elements: transition, topic sentence, specific evidence and analysis, and a brief wrap-up sentence, which is also known as a warrant, right? But I like to call it brief wrap-up. So TTEB is the acronym: transition, topic sentence, evidence, brief wrap-up. So a transition sentence leading in from the previous paragraph to assure smooth reading. This acts as a sort of a handoff from one idea to the next. So the transition sentence should be some sort of transition to not make the essay appear jumpy, as I say, and just like launching into, you know, the different reasons that you believe certain things. You want some sort of smooth transition. Again, the example essays do a really good job of showing this. A topic sentence that tells the reader what you will be discussing in the paragraph. By the way, the transition in the topic sentence can be the same sentence. It's going to be that first sentence. So your topic sentence can also be part of your transition, but it should tell me where you're going to be talking about in that paragraph. And then specific evidence and analysis that supports one of your claims and that provides a deeper level of detail than your topic sentence. This is where you're telling me the reasons from your personal experience that you believe in this belief for this essay. And then you want to end it with a brief wrap-up sentence that tells the reader how and why this information supports the paper's thesis, right? So the belief. The brief wrap-up is also known as a warrant. The warrant is important. Okay, so write a warrant. Like picture, you know, if a cop shows up at your house and wants to come in and look for something, they have to have a warrant. So a warrant is like a written reason. So think of, you know, a warrant, brief wrap up. What is the reason that I just told you all of this? They have to have a reason to come in your house, by the way. They have to have a warrant. So the warrant is important to your argument because it connects your reasoning and support to your thesis, and it shows that the information in the paragraph is related to your thesis and helps defend it. So it's that final sentence that kind of wraps up everything that you just talked about and then restates why the belief is important. Okay, so TTEB, important to remember as you write out your body paragraphs and also for the quiz. And then the conclusion. I don't know about you all, but I find the conclusion paragraph to be the most difficult for me personally to write. I don't know why. I have a hard time bringing it all together at the end. That's just me. Maybe that's you too. So conclusions wrap up what you have been discussing in your paper. After moving from general to specific information in the introduction and body paragraphs, your conclusion should begin pulling back into more general information that restates the main points of your argument. Conclusions may also call for action or overview future possible research, not for our purposes for this essay, but in general. The following outline may help you conclude your paper. In a general way, conclusions should, so in bold here, restate your topic and why it is important. Restate your thesis / claim in different words from the original thesis. So you don't want to copy and paste your thesis statement word for word here. You want to restate it in a little bit different terminology at the end here. Address opposing viewpoints and explain why readers should align with your position. So maybe why, for this essay, why somebody maybe wouldn't believe this, or you could just acknowledge that not everyone believes this, but then bring the readers back to why it's important to you. And then, if appropriate for the topic, a call for action or overview for future research possibilities. For our purposes for this essay, you're not calling others to believe your belief, but you're really just simply restating why you believe this and why it's important to you, and just bringing it all back together. So some help from the textbook, like I said, it really is to be used sort of as a tool. I have the link to the textbook here. And if you look through the table of contents in the textbook, you'll find a lot of just sort of things that you might want to look at as you're working through. The next thing we're going to talk about, and I'll post on Canvas and do a short video on, is editing and grammar and sentence level things, because some people struggle a lot with that. It has great information about that in there, but I had asked you to read about thesis statements and then the body paragraphs. Here's the link to introductions if you're struggling a little bit, and then a link to the conclusions section. So read through these if you are having trouble, because after we do the outline here, we're launching into that rough draft, and the complete rough draft, 3 to 4 pages, is due in a week here. So those are my notes for today, and those are posted right here on Canvas. If I encourage you to write them in your notebook, because sometimes hearing, seeing, and then also writing it makes it a little more, visible or memorable. So whatever is in bold on any of the sets of notes, and those are the only sets of notes for the unit, by the way, that's it. So those sets of notes are on the quiz. So the notes on APA and brainstorming, the types of arguments, and then thesis and essay structure. So, and that'll be it. I won't give you any more this unit. So let me pull up really quickly the first example essay. So I had asked you to read, I posted 2 of them. I'm almost always going to try to post 2 example essays for you to take a look at, because I find that it just really helps students as they work on their outlines and their drafts. So he has it set up in APA. It's from 2019. He has a title here. You don't have to insert a title on yours. APA has changed over the years a little bit, so you can just launch into the essay. So if you take a look at his introduction, let's just read that together. I won't read the entire paper. Trust me, my voice can't do it right now. But as we grow up, there are always times when we need help from others. This can come in multiple forms, such as emotional support, physical support, a kind gesture, a mentor's words, or someone helping others accomplish a task. Having the support of another person can be the inspiration that ensures we are able to complete a task. However, for some of us, the support of others is not always the thing that helps. This is a lesson that so now he's set it up and now he's bringing it to him personally. This is a lesson that I have learned many times in my life. There have been many moments throughout my life when I did not have others to help me through a situation. That lack of outside support from others taught me to be self-driven. This is not to say that others have not been there to assist me when I need help, but if it were not for my determination to succeed, their assistance would not have mattered. I have had many teachers that have influenced me and helped me with many lessons. Their influence and knowledge is what gave me the ability to achieve more. So this is his thesis statement here. Due to my experiences with overcoming addiction, struggling with mental illness, and achieving personal goals, I believe in self-determination. Wonderful introduction that sets up the essay, starts broadly, brings it to him personally, gives a little bit of background information, but doesn't get too specific yet. And then this thesis statement here, due to his experiences with overcoming addiction, struggling with mental illness, and achieving personal goals, I believe in self-determination. So this tells me exactly what his body paragraphs are then going to go in and talk about, which is what he does. It's a great thesis statement. It's a great introduction. So in just taking a quick look at like the first sentence here, so this is his transition sentence, or topic sentence, or both. Growing up, my life was a whirlwind of emotional and physical trauma, which left me with this serious mental issues. Okay, so he's starting kind of at the beginning. A lot of times with this, I believe, they're sequential. So you want to start with the history of kind of when the belief started for him. It was when he was growing up. And then he goes on and sort of just tells the narrative of what happened. And has transitions for each of the body paragraphs, and you'll notice as you read it that it has just very specific personal examples that are incredibly convincing for why that belief is important to him. Okay, so here's another good transition sentence. While learning to cope with mental illness, I was also learning to overcome my addiction to drugs. That's a transition sentence and a topic sentence. It tells me it moves smoothly from the last paragraph and tells me what he's then going to be talking about in this paragraph. So great example. So just if you haven't yet, go through and read this, both example essays, because they just do a really good job with the essay structure and with properly doing the things that this assignment asks for you to do. Also, if you do go to a writing lab appointment, be sure to take that assignment sheet with you so that they can or show it to them on Canvas so that they can see what it is that I'm looking for. So you've got that example essay posted and another example essay posted that are just really good go-tos. for the structure and for the proper way to set this up. So here's what is due today, and it's in assignments, but I posted it here too because I'm posting everything for the unit in this module. So this I believe outline. I posted both just a blank outline, which is what I want you to fill out, and then here, that's what this looks like. You don't have to set it up in APA. You can just fill this out as is. So I'm looking for, and after you'll find that after you do this outline, getting into the draft is going to be a lot easier. So for this outline, it really doesn't have to be full paragraphs yet, but enough information to get going on your rough drafts, right? Because you've got a week to get those done. So the introduction, an opener, some sort of sentence to grab the reader's attention. You can bullet point these if you want, or list them. Or if you find it helpful to go ahead and just write them out as paragraphs, that's going to be really helpful. However, we talked about different ways of outlining and brainstorming, whatever works the best for you. Just make sure that you address each of these. So then a little bit of an explanation or a history of the belief, and then the thesis statement, which is going to contain, I believe. And then for each of the body paragraphs, the topic sentence. Now I have here, number one reason I believe this. I don't want you to say, this is the first reason I believe this. We really want to avoid this. The first reason I believe, the second reason I believe, the third, that's to make for a smooth transitioning essay. But you want some sort of topic sentence for this first body paragraph that launches into why the first reason, or maybe when you started believing this. And then a support example, another support example, another support example. It doesn't have to be 3 for each paragraph, but at least a couple, sort of like, what support are you going to use for each of the paragraphs? So again, you can sort of list those or bullet point them, or you can write them out. So for each of the paragraphs, you're going to do that. I have it set up as you might have more than 3 body paragraphs, depending on how long your paragraphs are and how many examples you're going to go over. You might have shorter paragraphs, but more of them. You might have, whatever works for you. I would say at least 3 body paragraphs at the very least, is and then your intro and then your conclusion is going to make for a 3 to 4 page essay in length. And then your conclusion. So summarize the main points that you talked about and support examples, and then restate your thesis in different words. So this is what you're going to fill out for me, that it will be due by or before our next class. That is posted in assignments. What I did is I went ahead and started filling out a sample. You'll see it's my stuff is in blue here. So an opener, I have them just kind of listed here. When I think of my strongest beliefs in life, several come to mind. Some are, and then you want to list maybe what some of them are. However, one belief that truly means a lot to me for many reasons is, and then you could state, your belief. Again, this is just an example that I thought might be helpful. So some explanation or some history of the belief. I began believing strongly that blank, whatever the belief is, when blank, maybe sort of when the belief started or occurred, or what life experience happened. And then the thesis statement, due to my experience, and this is a personal example, right? Due to my my experiences with anxiety over many years, I believe that dogs are the perfect form of therapy. So this is an example from my life that I might write an essay about. So body paragraph number 1. Topic sentence, again, I said this, try not to list numbers to begin, like the first reason or secondly or etc., but transitions instead. So when I was first diagnosed with anxiety, I tried many forms of medication and other methods, such as whatever, to get help, but nothing seemed to work. That would be a really good starting sentence, right? And then when I got a puppy in 2007, I began noticing, and then I would say sort of how I began noticing that was helpful for me. Support. Knowing I had to care for my dog took my mind off the many things that made me anxious, such as, and then explain, maybe list them here, but you're going to explain them more in the essay. Another support. I remember coming home from class extremely, because I was in college back then. I remember coming home from class extremely stressed, but when my puppy greeted me with excitement, that stress seemed to go away. And then you'll explain more of that in the essay. Support. I remember when I would have panic attacks because of whatever. Taking time to breathe and cuddle with my dog would help me would help make the panic stop faster than any medication I could try. And then I had tried, and then I could talk about some other examples of things that didn't work later in the essay. You don't have to when these things in green, you can literally just do that later in the essay. The sort of bullet point ideas I'm looking for in the outline are what I have in blue here on the sample. So then that's your first body paragraph set up. And then the same for body paragraph 2, right? A transition. Not only did getting my puppy help me with my anxiety in college, but she also provided me great therapeutic support when my grandfather died in 2014, actually. So this is a good transition into the next thing that I'm going to talk about with how my belief applied to my life, right? With my grandfather's death. And then you're going to give an example of that, maybe another example of how she was helpful, maybe another example of how she was helpful. And then repeat for the next body paragraphs. And then when you get to the conclusion, briefly, summarize the importance of the belief and listing those specific details again. And then you want to restate your thesis. So up at the intro, I stated my thesis. Down here, I'm going to say it a little bit differently. Despite trying a multitude of ways to help my anxiety, I believe that my dog has been the best and most effective form of therapy. So hopefully this sample outline will be helpful for you to take a look at. You can fill out the blank one. I don't even care if you use this and plug in your own information, but I'm really just looking for listed ideas in this outline that you're then going to use in the rough draft. That rough draft, like I said, is coming pretty fast here, and it's important because everyone will be assigned a peer review for it. That will be due by or before the start of class 1 week from today's class. So either next Monday or Tuesday, depending on which class is watching this. So that is all I have for you today. I'm going to stop talking, save my voice a little bit. Everything is posted in modules. If you go over to assignments, you'll see the outline here. And when you click on outline, both the blank outline that I want you to fill out for me and submit by or before the start of next class is there, and then the sample is there as well. So that is everything for today. I will post another shorter video before the next class, just going over a few things. I'm not really assigning anything else next class. This outline is due by the start of the next class, and then the next, really what I was going to do in class is talk about some things, some common errors, editing errors, and we're going to talk about those. I'll post that in my next video, but really it was going to be a drafting day to use, so because it's important that you get those drafts in. So that is everything that I had for you today. Due by the start of next class, this I believe outline. See the assignment and sample outline. Everything that we just went over is in modules. If you have any questions about anything, please send them over to me and I will get back to you as soon as I can. I hope you guys are well and healthy and all of that. So I will contact you between now and next class, and hopefully everything is clear. Let me know if it's not. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.